Hi there, this is Dennis Velco with OutBüro. You're listening to OutBüro Voices, where we have engaging and very informative conversations with LGBTQ professionals, entrepreneurs, and community leaders. Today, we have Sarah Lynn. She is a technology security expert focusing on the small to mid-sized businesses. So right now, be sure that you stay tuned through the end of this video to hear all of the important things that small and mid-sized businesses need to be focused on in IT security and possibly some action steps. We'll see how that goes. If you have any questions about IT security for your business, be sure to put those questions down below in the comments on whichever application that you're watching or viewing this. Also, Sarah is being very generous and allowing for small and mid-sized businesses to book up to a 1-hour call directly with her to answer your questions and concerns and get some strategy tips. So that is very gracious of her, and we welcome her to the show.
Thank you, Dennis. Glad to be here.
Well, awesome. So much appreciate you taking your time out of your early day, because I'm in Florida and you are in the greater San Francisco Bay Area. So there's a big time zone shift here. So I appreciate you coming into the office bright and early to chat with us.
No problem. I'm an early riser. This is all good.
Well, I'm not, so that's why I always book my appointments at, a little bit later in the morning. Well, Sarah, you have a very rich and interesting background. I always like to start off with a few minutes of kind of you sharing a little bit about your background, and then we'll jump right into, your career today and the business today.
Oh, absolutely. So, I'll go backwards a little bit. I'm a partner in a firm that does business solutions, and IT security is one of the major business solutions that we offer. But that's not where I started my career, right? That's not where I started my career. I started my career as a technologist, born and raised in Raleigh, North Carolina, long before I moved to California. But I started my business because small to medium businesses, especially small businesses, were not being served in the security community. And as an IT professional, seeing those unserved clients, I was very concerned. And now I definitely know that the LGBTQI business owner, I believe, is still unserved in the community because there are many things that we need to trust and verify around security and confidentiality. And I hope to be able to bring those things to other LGBTQI folks, such as myself, that can trust another firm with their confidentiality and security. I've been around the block as a technologist and a security person for damn near 30 years, but I'm still 24 at heart, so that's all good.
Well, I understand that. I won't say my age. Normally, this is a bit more of a beard than I have. The old commercial, gonna wash that gray right out of my hair. Mine is, I'm gonna clip that gray right out of, so I normally have it much shorter. Okay, so yeah, very, very interesting, and so many people in the LGBT community, only 40% of people are out at work. A vast majority of people aren't, out to their parents, and so if I would imagine if they have their data, like on OutBüro.com, for example, they want to know that that their data is to the best of that organization's ability is going to be secure and not compromised. I was just reading an article, I think it was 2 days ago, where one health organization is currently being sued in a class action lawsuit because it was a medical facility for treating patients with HIV, and their data was breached because they didn't have enough security in place. And those people's information got out, and therefore, violating HIPAA, and of course, just not good, right? And so if you could share maybe I know you probably have some bullet points of things that you would like to talk about, but as I always do in a very fluid manner, what are maybe some of the key issues or some examples that you've had to deal with in order to help enlighten our listeners and viewers to the importance of technology security?
That's a good question, Dennis. And so I'll give you two really good examples. These are examples. One was a very large nonprofit in San Francisco, where they had their own donor database, a very large donor population, and the database was stolen. Now, you might say, well, how does one steal a database? Well, there's many technical ways to take a database, replicate a database, copy a database. But if one's own employees walk out the door with a database and sell it, that's a horrible, horrible thing. So in their particular case, we had to prove that it was stolen so we could share that with the authorities. We had to communicate with all of the donors that their information was now out there. That's horrible, right? And then we had to deal with securing it so that it could never happen again, which is you're trying to reestablish trust with your donors that we're sorry, it'll never happen again. So I tell that story because if you are someone that has clients that you would like to keep private for whatever reasons, whether they're donors or they're a clinic, or you have some legal reason you should be keeping them super private, you want to get ahead of this game. You want to make sure that those areas where those records reside, whether it's a database or the cloud or some other platform, that those things are highly secure. And by the way, just because the company that sells you the thing says it's highly secure doesn't mean it's highly secure. So let someone help you, if possible, discern whether it truly is secure and keep your business afloat or your organization afloat. That's one example. And another example, Dennis, is another small company in the Silicon Valley area that actually was holding a bank's data, and they were deploying new stuff themselves, deploying new platforms, and they just happened to deploy it insecurely, and then they were ransomwared. So someone came in the insecure portal, dropped in a nice little bot, locked the database. They get the ransomware call, email, whatever it is. Please unlock this for $2 million. I will unlock it for $2 million. They kind of freak out. They said, no problem, we have a backup. They restored the backup, but the backup also contained the ransomware. So the ransomware overwrote the ransomware, overwrote the ransomware, overwrote the ransomware. And that company was out of business for 32 days. It's just incredible. And if you don't think that they would want to go back and say, man, I should have had better security principles, and man, I should have had very specific monitoring on these databases so they couldn't be ransomware, you know they would. And do you know they paid the ransom? And do you know it didn't do any damn good anyway? Because just like in many kidnapping cases, you can pay the kidnapper and never get back your human asset. So in this case, they, of course, did not get their database back.
And so, yeah, I, for example, take backups daily, and I keep some longer term as a just in case. And, yes, might I lose some data, some online activity and so forth, but, at least I can restore to a point. Because also being LGBTQ organizations or, high visibility nonprofits and so forth, we can be a target by right-wing organizations who also have hackers, They have hackers for Jesus.
Yes.
And of course there's bots out there. I do run a security firewall on my system. Of course I won't say the name or anything like that because I don't want that out there. But just today my firewall blocked 129 attempts to do whatever to my website within 10 minutes. And I'm not kidding, I just saw that email about 20 minutes ago while I was having my coffee before our conversation. And I'm going to share something with you that's very disturbing as well. I'm not going to name names, but if the person is listening to this, they'll know exactly who I'm talking about. A year ago, or a year and a half ago, I was in, we'll just say there was a nonprofit organization in the LGBT community. And someone was working there that I had interfaced with in the past. That person left the organization disgruntled, and their database had no, authority rights put on it. So everybody had full access to the database. Mm-hmm. And that person copied the database, walked out the door with it, then frankly had the audacity to contact me because it's one of my demographics. And again, I won't say more than that because it'll say too much. And asked me if I would like to partner or purchase the database. And I had to say as nicely as possible, hell no.
Right.
Because, if all of a sudden those people started receiving communications from me, they're going to then come back to me and say, how did you get my contact information? So I'm only sharing that with you guys so that it's real and then that it happens. And you might think you trust your employees right now, and you might feel like you trust your contractors right now. Honey, don't trust anyone with your database. Your admin level, admin, read, write, the ability to copy, backup, and so forth needs to be tightly controlled. Tightly controlled.
Absolutely. That kind of makes me think about the reason I really want to talk to the business owners in our community, Dennis. Trust is a really hard thing to earn. And for us LGBTQI business owners, we want to hand that out very sparingly. I know for myself, I'll speak for myself. I trust my heart with very few people. I trust my business with very few people. I trust my database with very few people. That's the way it should be, in my opinion. But I want to speak to people who need someone to be able to trust in this area of security and confidentiality. And I want to say that Sarah is someone you can trust. Just talk to me to see if that is so. I have a very small team of 15 people. We've worked together, some of us for 25 years, nonetheless for less than 2 years. And we all have a wonderful culture, and we know what we're doing, and we do different silos of security and confidentiality, but we serve the communities that need serving. We don't just sell products or services to make revenue. That's nice. We all need revenue. But if we have a purpose, and our purpose is that we want every business, every client, every family member, every community member to feel like they are safe and protected, whether that's at work or at home. When I go in my house at night and I lock the door and I turn on the alarm, I feel 100% safe. Am I 100% safe? Probably not. It's not. The world is not 100% safe, fair, warranted, guaranteed, right and fair. But I feel that way. And I want to feel that way about my business. And I want others to to feel better about the security and confidentiality of their business and to have a trusted partner to work on it with.
And, we're talking about databases here, but also I'd like to shift just a little bit because I'm sure lots of businesses out there that might say, wow, the only, database I have is my, customer relationship management tool. And, maybe that's on Salesforce or some other cloud tool, and they trust the security of that. Well, still, you have to make sure that whoever in your organization that has rights to that system, that still it may not be an internal system, and you may trust, that cloud service, but still you have to make sure you go in and set the user settings to ensure, again, only one person or two or whatever, the very limited, has full access. Because if an employee has the ability to download your data, you essentially have given them permission to do that, although it's not right to do it. So
I totally agree, Dennis. Let's just take the email, for example, or let's take your sales database on Salesforce. And by the way, there's a lot of CRMs out there, not just Salesforce. And any version of it that says free is probably not the secure version. And not every cloud is secure. In fact, inherently, most clouds are not secure by default. They just are not. There is a piece that you have to put on top of it yourself, a setting, an administrative setting, another product, another feature, another cost. And email, oh my goodness, email is not secure inherently. There are things that you have to do to secure your email. And then finally, the other thing that really is important is companies, small to mediums, quite often do not own the assets. They don't own the laptops. They don't own the cell phones. We're using products on top of personal devices. And without the security or the monitoring or the logging of what is going on with those personal devices, or the ability to say, hey, Sarah's using her corporate email or her company email for a lot of things that we don't want her to be doing. Without the ability of the company to turn off the email down to my phone, just turn it off. Not have access to it, but turn it off. Without that ability, there's a lot of loss of control. And data, oh my gosh, how much data do you get in your email that's inappropriate and should be probably stored some other way or shared some other way? How many times does someone send you an Excel spreadsheet, you open it up, and it's full of data that should be somewhere else? It should be secure, controlled. Or how many times do you open up a chat window or an email and somebody said, here's my social security number, or here's my credit card number, please charge me for. And, things that we shouldn't be sharing that way. That's not secure.
That both shocks me, but I could imagine that there are some people out there that are frankly stupid enough to put that kind of information in a message chat. That is cray.
It is. And for a lot of companies, let's say that you and I, Dennis, belong to the same company. We made this really great company that sells XYZ. And we needed to chat all day long. And let's say we took credit cards or we took some other type of PII information, but we need to chat all day long. Our basic chat programs are not secure. So let's ratchet it up. Let's secure the chat function and let's log the chat function so that if things get violated or if things are, not the way we want them, that we can do something about it. And now I know a lot of people look at that like Big Brother and they think about, nah, I don't want anybody knowing what I chat about, or no, I need my freedom. I need my freedom to express. So I need to be able to chat about anything and not worry someone's looking. But if you're in a company, you do want to be looking. If you're the business owner, you don't have to be watching my chat, but you want to know if I made a violation in my chat. You want to know if I just shared a credit card number with Dennis in chat. And then you want to say, hey, Sarah, remember, no credit card numbers unless you're over here in the secure chat. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. And, for those listening too, when you're an employee of a company, you are working as an agent of that company, and that company has responsibilities and could be sued. So your actions could cause the company to, one, lose revenue, lose customer trust, possibly be sued, possibly have a class action lawsuit against them, and all because, and when you are using company devices, you should assume that everything that you do is being logged, tracked, etc. And if you have a problem with that, start your own business. Don't work for someone else. You have a choice.
That's right.
Start a dog walking business. You'll never have to deal with it, except your customer data. And also kind of getting to maybe companies who don't have a CRM, or their systems are completely, separate. And maybe they just have a website, and it's a simple website. Maybe they are a dog walker, but or a dog trainer. I have a friend a few blocks away that's a dog trainer. So I'm using that as an example because it's a low tech, operation. He probably has an Excel spreadsheet and that's it. But he has a website. And so even if you're a business owner, a small business owner, and you just have a simple website, those get attacked. Trust me. And, there are tools out there such as, depending on what kind of system you use, you need to make sure that your own system, like my hosting company, has a firewall, but my own website has a firewall, and it has saved me numerous times. Last month, an IP address from France within a 24-hour period tried to attack my site. I'm not kidding you. 24,280 times. So I had to put that IP address in the block list, right? My system automatically blocked it because it's on a list of known things, known bad actors. But I don't just rely on them and their database. Whenever I see anything weird activity, I block. And I will share with you too. There's one user who's very active on OutBüro.com. He's in Eastern Europe, and he uses a virtual private network because he's in one of those countries that's really bad in the news right now. And so he was using a virtual private network and always connecting to a server in France, happened to also be France. Mm-hmm. And well, actually, it was that IP address, the one that did the 24,000. And so I didn't even look up that at first. I didn't even look up in my system, my user log, because I log every time someone logs in for failed attempts or password resets and stuff like that. So I capture IP address along with username, etc. So as soon as, of course, I saw that whenever I woke up, the 20-some thousand attempts, I immediately put it in my absolute block list. Well, then that person about an hour later emails me and says, Dennis, why did you block me? I'm now, and he sent me a screenshot. And I thought, I didn't block you. What the world are you talking about? And so I then looked through my login history for that IP address, and lo and behold, it was his. So I had to inform him, okay, either you have a bot on your system, or you don't have a firewall and you're being pinged in the series of pings that attackers do. Because attackers, or the bots, it's often, bots that do this. What they'll do to educate you in the audience is they'll ping 4, 5, 6, 8 different systems. So to go from point A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and then finally reach the destination that they want to attack. That way it's harder to trace it back to the actual origin. All right. So, so his system, when he was logged into his virtual private network, in one of those two scenarios was being utilized. So I had to tell him that, and I showed him my records. And, you know, of course, he was like, oh, my God, I'm so sorry. I've already contacted one of my friends who's more technical than me. And I recommended a system to him to use, because he was using like Microsoft Word Defender. And I'm like, oh, God, that is crap. OK, you need to actually have folks, if you're using Microsoft Word Defender, stop it. Don't stop it. But you need to go out and you need to look at other systems. There's like, of course, Norton, McAfee, Bitdefender, and a couple others. You need one of those and, you know, turn on their firewall because they're much more robust than Microsoft Defender.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I just wanted to share that story to share that, you know, I could have even just been, again, a dog walking company, because these bots, what they do is they go out and they find vulnerable systems. They scan constantly. And if they see that your website is unsecure, they're going to inject code and then now either simply leverage your server resources is what they do. And then they will attack other systems. Now you look like the attacker, just like I thought that IP address or my user systems was the attacker. Okay. Or they can also inject code to be ransomware, right? And shut your website down, and so forth. And if you don't have backups, baby, guess what? You know, you could be held for, you know, for that. And again, have a backup strategy where you have, especially if your site doesn't change a lot, right? If you're a dog walking business, or if you're a dentist or a law firm, your website probably, other than maybe if you do good blogging, other than maybe 1 or 2 blog posts you did in the last month, a backup from probably 3 months ago is just as, you know, if your site doesn't change a lot, is perfectly fine. So you might be able to take the whole site down. And I recommend completely blowing the site away, calling your hosting provider, say, blow the god darn thing away, start a completely fresh installation of whatever system you're using. WordPress, for example, a lot of businesses use that. Start a completely new, and then have those backups so then you can restore from your previous backup and go far enough back that you feel, as to your best of your ability, that you're before that ransomware was installed. And I'll share with you too, sometimes the ransomware stuff, knowing that people do backups, will actually have a time delay. So they will.
It's like a little time bomb. It's waiting for you.
Yeah. So it'll get installed, and then a couple of weeks later or a month later, boom, activate. So you need to have your backups and enough historical backups far enough behind that if you have to, you know, maybe again, you'll lose a little bit, but you're not going to lose the entire thing.
Right, and scan those backups before you put them in fresh too, to make sure the bot isn't living on the backup also.
Exactly. And does this sound technically, you know, out of your realm? Again, Sarah's graciously offered to have a 1-hour consultation with you. So if there are concerns that you have, this should make you have questions. You know, because if you are a dog walker, if you're a hairdresser, if you are a dentist, or if you are a lawyer and you don't have a dedicated, very strong IT team who has specialties in data security and system security, you need to augment that. Just like a good business owner would not only have a CPA, but a specialized tax strategist, because most CPAs don't do great tax strategy unless they're really trained. That's why you have a general practitioner doctor, but you need to go to a dermatologist or a gynecologist or an AIDS, HIV specialist or something, right? Know that just because you have an IT contractor that's supporting you, you need to schedule a call with Sarah and take her up on that hour conversation, because she can then give you all the kinds of infos and insights, so that if you do have a local IT contractor to support you, you can quiz them to ensure that they do have the skills, because you probably never thought of this. So anything else that you would like to chime in there about? Is there?
No, I agree with you 100%, Dennis. I mean, there's a lot of very small organizations out there, nonprofit organizations or small organizations that just haven't haven't thought about it, or B, don't have the budget for what they think is a larger level of security. But there's so many things we can do. And in this world today, I would say the top two things that could happen to a small business are ransomware and misuse of remote systems. If we used to be in a little office together and we used to be all secure in their office with our service, and now we've dispersed to everybody working from home on their own network, without VPN, without multi-factor authentication, without secure clouds, without secure email, without secure laptops, without secure cell phones. Let us help guide you in a direction of securing those 5 or 6 things, so that you don't have to worry about it, so that you can do business on what your specialty is, without the worry that security is not in place, or confidentiality or privacy are not in place. And we really want, I really want to, and have wanted to for many years, and throw ourselves out there as a trusted partner in this area. I've been that tiny business before and not known who to go to for, let's say, HR specialty or accounting specialty or something like that. So I'm saying our business, this is our business. We are specialists, and I am reaching out to our community because I want to.
Absolutely. And, one analogy kind of popped into my head is, is exactly having a strategy and beginning to put those fairly simple things in place. I mean, but it's when you don't do it is when you're vulnerable. And so my analogy is like, okay, if you are currently have a negative status for HIV, there's prevention, there's PrEP, and there's even great sites like Get Mr. Without the E.com, where you can get it all over the United States, and even potentially free, and it comes to your home. Testing kit, I use them. There's a great interview. I'll link right up here. But I have that as the analogy, because it's prevention to an outside attack. So, utilizing PrEP and utilizing, condoms and so forth for, the male population and so forth is prevention. And so, if you don't do those preventions, your risk goes up, right? You may not get it tomorrow, you may not get it in the next year, but you're kind of just haphazardly, with no protection, no prevention, leaving yourself open. And that is, in my brain, just that analogy to try to help the gay and lesbian, queer, transgender community here kind of relate to what we're talking about.
Agreed.
Now, your focus area again is small to medium-sized businesses, and you are physically located in the greater San Francisco area. But because, of course, it's IT, do you do stuff remotely with people outside of your general physical location?
Yes, absolutely. We've been doing business successfully, securely, and remotely for over 20 years, and in a 30-year career of mine, I certainly know my team knows how to do that. We have clients in the Washington, D.C. area. We have clients in the Virginia market. We have clients in North Carolina, Arizona, Denver, Colorado, Portland. We have clients in Melbourne, Australia. So we're all over the area. And Sarah drives to everywhere in the Bay Area because she loves the Bay Area. Or if I need to come see you, I'll get on a plane. Right now, please ask me to get on a plane and come see you because I'm dying to get on a plane again. But I'll get on a plane and come see you. But remotely, we can do a lot of work. I've been doing this work with the cameras and the video and the WebEx long before Zoom even existed. For years, so we can work together no matter where you are on this planet or the next.
All right. Well, is there anything that maybe we haven't covered that you had on your kind of docket list of wanting to chat about?
No, Dennis, I mean, we've definitely covered everything I wanted to talk about. And I just want to encourage people to reach out to me and take, the time. I will take the time to be with you for an hour or so. Just take the time to get to know me and see if I can help your business, even if the help that I'm giving you is just the conversation.
Well, wonderful. Well, again, for everyone listening or watching, be sure you take advantage of this opportunity to put questions down in the comments on whatever application that you are listening or watching to this on. As comments and questions come in, I'll make sure that I let Sarah know so she can come over and answer your questions to the best of her ability in the that format. And again, as she again graciously offered a 1 hour free consultation to get to know you, your concerns, and help you get on the right track. Thank you everyone for staying tuned to this episode of OutBüro Voices with a special focus on technology and security for small and mid-sized organizations with a keen focus on the LGBTQ entrepreneur and nonprofit owner. I'm Dennis Velco. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.